Hey YouTube, welcome back. I last posted in April, so it's been a couple months. I've been pretty good. August 29th is gonna be my birthday. I'm turning 29. So close to 30. But I've been pretty good for these past couple of months. Meanwhile. But today, I wanted to make this video on, a article that I kind of wrote, but alongside with the article, I traditionally make a YouTube video, so here's what I'm doing. So, how to be well prepared for an interview. So I'm going to talk about things that you should do and maybe you shouldn't do. And I'm gonna, of course, post the article in the link below. And if you could give this a like or subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. But no pressure at all. So I'm gonna start with the do's first. So you want to be yourself. People value honesty and authenticity. Even if you don't have appropriate skills, experience, or educational background, always be honest. Show that you are willing to at least learn and gain experience. And I think, I'm gonna talk about this later, but sometimes it always doesn't guarantee, a position. Some people don't value it, but I think a lot of people do. And there might be a few that may not value your honesty or integrity, and I think there might be a couple of interviewers that do, yeah. And then, but anyways, you want to go for like if you have to pick between the two, you should pick the people that do value honesty anyways. So you should always ask questions. So it shows that you're interested. It shows that you're listening. And there's always a question to be asked. It's just a question of whether it's appropriate or not. You want to make sure the questions are relevant to the job. And by the way, for this video, I'm not gonna go like too into detail with some of this stuff. There's a lot of detail I could go on with, but it's just general overview. But maybe like some question could be, I would maybe avoid like talking about the pay initially unless you got the job offer. But you could ask like what computer softwares are there, something about the duties, what are you looking for, what traits and qualities do you admire, how do you like working here, stuff like that. Let's see. How could training on the job look like? Stuff like that. It shows your interest. And always ask at appropriate times. Don't. I'll get into don'ts later, but you don't want to like interrupt them too. Or just ask like a counter question. So usually, you get a chance to ask questions. Usually, it could be at the end. Um And then it's also important to stay sound appropriate. So don't speak too loudly or softly. Loudly is probably a better problem. It just disrupts the environment. People may kind of get annoyed with that. Softly, it gets hard to hear, but softly is probably better than loudly. And then you don't want to talk too slow or too fast because it's hard to hear. Just try to work on you know, the right pace. Sometimes English is not everyone's, first language. Not everyone is familiar with English, and just, if you aren't, just do your best and keep on practicing. Record yourself. This is one of the reasons why I created the YouTube video. I want to see like how how I speak too. And then I critique myself and try to improve upon my speaking, and that's what you guys should do for interviews. Always be respectful. Take the thank the interviews for their times. So shake hands in the beginning, usually if they allow for it. And shake hands at the end. And just thank them for their times, and send a follow up email too. And show that you're really interested in the role. So this makes you stand out. This shows that you're polite, you're grateful for the position, and you're eager to get started in the position. This shows that you're motivated and sincere, which most people admire. And then communicate clearly, and always be transparent. So just don't give an answer. Give an answer with some context, and complete sentences, so the other person would understand you. And tell the interviewers everything they need to know. Don't be untransparent. And sometimes things just fall to the cracks. You forget about something, but just do your best. Um, it's always important to make eye contact. So look at the speaker when they're talking, and I always recommend too that you have like a pen and paper and take notes. You want to do that, but I think when they're kind of speaking, just be sure not to get like too distracted by your notes. Notes are also a great way to kind of recall what he said. And then you could like later look back at it. And then be professional at all times. Give the interview your full attention. Make sure your phone's on silent, on mute. You shouldn't have your phone out during the interview. Don't do that. And then of course, a few other things. So be respectful, considerate, and calm. If there's something you disagreed with, just nod your head and go along with the flow. Just don't comment. Just use sign language. Sure, sure, sure. Even if you disagree with it, it's kind of being, not honest, but it's just better to kind of like stick with the facts instead of opinions. That's not like being dishonest either. And then plan your day to come before coming out to the interview. Take into account commute time, traffic. You should plan to arrive at least 10 minutes early to the interview. So, for example, if they say it's 1, you come at 12:50. So that's always a helpful tip. Um, and then if the duration of the interview isn't communicated, I would be on the safe side and plan for 2 hours. I've never had anything go past 2 hours. Um, let's see. Yeah. But I've had some that kind of went for at least an hour, or even two. Not even two. That was something really rare. Yeah. Um, and then of course, as I said, take notes in the interview. I'm not really going in order. I'm just kind of like reading them, kind of freely speaking. And then you want to be business casual. So like I'm in a t-shirt. That may not be appropriate. Even if it's an online interview, you should always wear like um, what's it called? Business casual, like a collared full sleeve shirt. And then some like dress pants, dress shoes, a tie. I feel like ties may be out fashioned, but it's better to overdress than underdress. Don't like yeah. And then first impressions matter, and appearances also matter too. It's not everything, but they do. It is important. Some people do value that, so yeah. And then um, let's see. Plan to bring 3 to 5 copies of your resume. You might have to do a group interview or an interview with multiple people, multiple interviewers. Show in case they need the resume. You could just have them have that kind of with you. So some interviews like to print out the resume pre-hand. Some interviews may have it on hand. Some may not. Just bring some in case. And then um, while you're using that resume, I would recommend just to take notes for like paper as well. You could use the paper for like notes. And if I'm in person, I I make sure I don't have any electronics and just take handwritten notes with like resumes as well. And then if it's like a video interview, I'd have like my resume popped up, my LinkedIn popped up, some like their website popped up, a few other like Glassdoor popped up, and then I would take notes on the computer. So yeah. Um, and then let's see. And along with the resume, you should also bring the job description, just because so you have it in reference. You could refer to that as you kind of talk. That could also generate some ideas for questions. And then prepare for the interview. So spend some time researching the company website and role. You don't have to spend a whole chunk of time researching. Like, for example, you don't have to read like 20 years of like financial data and know that. Just kind of like go over their mission, values, when they first started, general history, and then just the role. You don't have to, and then if you're not familiar with the industry, you might want to just do a little research on the product, industry, just to get an idea. That's kind of excessive, though. I would say just the role, a bit of the company history and what they do. That's pretty much is all you need. Now there are the questions like, what do you know about this? That does kind of happen. They kind of expect you to like do research as well. But they want you to be prepared. So it's always a good idea to just do that in case. And then, of course, Glassdoor, Indeed, read like common interview questions, practice answering questions, and then also you could. There's a bunch of websites here where it'll talk about like sample interview questions too. You might like sample behavioral questions, and depending on the job, you might want to like answer some technical questions. So like for QuickBooks, for example, how do you turn off the automatic rule for the bank feed? So that there might be a technical question like that too. Doesn't happen like too much. If they wanted something more technical, they would also give you like an assessment. But but I aim for like mostly behavioral and situational questions. So like, when's the time you provided good customer service, or when's the time when you went above and beyond for whoever you were working with. That's what I do. I don't think you should really practice technical interview questions. If you really know something, I think it kind of carries over and you'll be fine. But if you don't, I mean, I wouldn't like practice. You may they like very rarely do I ever get technical questions, but I mean, it could be different for like your profession, I guess. So I mean, that's also one thing. Just try to find the commonality between like job interview questions, how employers behave. I know every firm behaves like a little differently. So yeah. Lastly, be enthusiastic, always smile, laugh when appropriate, and demonstrate passion. All right, so I talked about the don'ts, or the do's. Now I'm gonna talk about the don'ts. So you never want to be negative. It's recommended never to show any negativity. Just be positive at all times. And then earlier I talked about you know, doing like opinions and facts. Just stick to the facts. With just sticking to the facts, there's less room for negativity. Don't make rude, unprofessional remarks or something like condescending. Just try to be as polite as possible. And then don't laugh at inappropriate times. If you remembered something on top of your head that you thought was funny, I mean that happens to everyone. Or people are feeling like different ways throughout the day. It's natural. But just try to practice. And just try not to be too nervous. That also happens when you're too nervous. And then don't shout, yell, or emotionally get charged. So as mentioned earlier, try to maintain proper pace and keep emotions down. Also, try not to do your best to yawn. I want to talk about a specific YouTube video. I thought that it was kind of funny, but no, it's okay. I don't want to talk about it like on here. And then even when something when it's positive, yelling or emotionally charged is not important. Appropriate. I think it's fine. I mean, it's not offensive, but some people don't really like it, so you just want to be kind of calm, you know. Um, don't share your life story. So how you were born. I guess like who were your friends growing up, your hobbies growing up, how did that change? How much do you make? Stuff like that. You don't want to like tell unless they specifically ask. But you could share only details about the job, like maybe your past job experience, situations, and then yeah. And then don't ignore any questions. So if you're unsure of how to answer your question, it's okay to be honest. Try to answer the question like as best as you can. It's okay if you need a minute or so to think about the response. But if you cannot just say if you cannot think of something, just say you're unsure. And but try to best answer it directly. If you didn't like or agree with the particular comment, like I said, nod your head and just go along with the flow. Try not to share opinions. Lastly, I said don't interrupt the speaker. Wait for the speaker to finish, and once the speaker is finished speaking, wait 1 second and then talk. Don't wear perfume. Some interviewers might be allergic to it. And then lastly, don't be nervous. This is the most important thing. Treat it like a standard conversation. It's not the end of the world if you don't get that role as well. There are plenty of other roles. So yeah, definitely don't also get your hopes high for like a offer. Just kind of like treat it kind of transactionally. Just treat it like a conversation and see how things kind of play out. Try not to get emotionally invested into it. And then people fear of not saying the right thing, and they fear saying the wrong thing. But it's best not to think about it. Just keep your head high. Like for example, I create these YouTube videos. There's probably like hundreds of people watching. I do get nervous, but I'm just kind of doing what I like, and if you don't, I mean, I have nothing. I have nothing to fear. It's my channel at the end of the day. I can do whatever I want with it. Um, and then embarrassment isn't the end of the world, like I said. So I mean, I'm gonna be honest. There's probably a lot of better YouTubers than I am. I'm not. I don't even like. I don't even put that much effort in creating these videos. In the beginning, I put more effort into it, but I just kind of do it for fun. But yeah. So I really don't. It's not the end of the world. And then to do well as an interview, just be yourself, but also be polite and respectful. Demonstrate care and enthusiasm. Don't be underprepared or don't appear as trying too hard. Just be yourself. So my tips are ways to demonstrate this out, and unfortunately, this doesn't guarantee you a job. Just because you do this, you're still gonna get criticized, rejected. That's just reality. But it sure as well increases the odds of you getting an offer. So yeah. That's it. Thanks for listening.